Hello friends. I have been getting many queries that if you are studying about WD Gann, why are we trying to interpret works of George Gurdjieff over here? If we want to understand more about details which have been given by WD Gann, we need to understand about law of vibration, which is basically natural laws. Why? Because it is itself given in books of WD Gann. So let's try to interpret one by one. Let's say, for example, we go through this book of WD Gann, which is by the name of Tunnel Through the Air. So if we try to understand the basic details one by one, we'll try to know how clues have been given by WD Gann as such, specifically for us. So this is going to be the forward. So in this forward, he has basically mentioned about few of the things, what they are. Let's try to interpret one by one. So first of all, he says is a book to be worth reading must do more than amuse and interest. It must be instructive to be of real value to the readers. This book has threefold purpose. Right? He has talked about threefold purpose. So he has indirectly given a indication to us towards something called as three. Right? Because he has not given that okay, you'll be understanding about three things. He's talking about threefold purpose. Right? So indirectly he has given a clue towards three. Second is he mentions first, it is an interesting romance. Okay, fine. Which he didn't wanted to mention. I mean, as such, it, there is nothing of a romance to be taken in from this book. Second is it teaches a moral lesson and proves the natural laws laid down in Bible. Now here comes about the natural laws. And what are natural laws? Natural laws are law of seven, law of three, which we are able to interpret from the series of videos of George Gurdjieff, which is specifically through the logo also that we come to understand is anagram. So that's why our focus is there. Let's try to understand more about the details where all these things have been given. So even if we try to see the mentions which are there, this is the first mention about natural laws laid down in the Bible. Third, it should be a value of science, foreknowledge, and preparedness. Right. So again, he talks about foreknowledge, which is very important. But yes, if you see in terms of natural laws, this is the first instance where he has specifically talked about the natural laws, which is there. In page number 41, we get the second mention about natural laws, right? He began to read all the magazines along the lines of science and invention and studied the Bible in order to understand natural laws and know how to apply it. We see it on page number 271 that he has again mentioned about the natural laws. So, what he says, let's try to understand. Walter knew just exactly why it worked because he was a great chemist and knew the natural law behind the discovery. So again, he has mentioned about the natural law over here. Which on the index, if I check all together, I get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8 mentions. So if I go to this, so this is only about natural as such, but it is not about the natural laws, right? So probably we can just skip this part, right? Next, if we go to page number 265, right, again we get a mention about natural laws. So it says Robert remained a few days longer at Silver Springs, enjoyed being with Lady Bestford, and told her of his understanding of Bible and natural laws. So again, it is a mention of natural laws, right? So this is number four, which is there in our context as such specifically. If you see on page number 200, so he has talked about Daniel Root. So also told the history of Daniel Sully, how he made amounts in the cotton market, but by violating natural laws, lost it all in a few days in the crash of cotton in March 1904. Right. So this is page number 200, and if we see the mention, that is the fifth mention as suspect. So if you see on page number 248, we get again a mention of natural law. I'll just read it. While it is very peculiar case, the events were not accidental at all, but the result of natural laws. Page number 265, which we have already taken into consideration, right? So in the forward, I see the word which has been mentioned. So this is the second one. If I go for this one, this is natural law. So here is the third one which has been mentioned. Here is the fourth one which has been mentioned, page number 271. So this is page number 266, right? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So if we see 1, 2, 3, 4, this is the fifth one. Page number 200. So this is my sixth one. And see, again, it talks about natural laws. And if I see over here, it is about natural laws, which is on page number 248, right? So if we see in terms of instances, which is there of natural laws as such, so this is the first one, this is the second one, this is the third one, this is the fourth one, this is the fifth one, this is the sixth one, this is the seventh one. So there are 7 pages on which natural laws comes into picture, and we know that law of seven is indirectly been hidden over here in terms of natural laws, right? So there were 2 instances where he talked about things which are there. So one is the book has threefold purpose, right? So threefold purpose is again talking about a law of three. That is the first part, and threefold is if you check down indirectly in terms of the interpretations which are there. So we see about the anagram, which has first of all the circle. The second fold is the triangle, which is law of three, law of Triamazikamno. And the third one, which is the symbol for law of seven, law of vibrations, law of octaves, or law of Heptaparaparshinokh, right? So indirectly, if you see over in the forward, he mentions about 2 things. One is the threefold purpose, which is again indicating towards the anagram, and second is the natural laws, and natural laws has come down 7 times. So indirectly the mention of law of three and law of seven has been there. Let's go to his second book. Now this is not actually his book as such specifically, but yep, we can consider that the things have been given in those typical ways for us to understand. This is page number 51 on law of vibration. So here he talks about music as such specifically, so let's try to interpret these things. Of course, the rapidity of vibration increases in precisely the ratio in which the length of the wave increases. Thus, if in musical scale, the lowest C of the 7-octave piano gives 32 vibrations to a second, which is the fact, the octave C next above will give 64 in a second, and the next octave above that will give 128, right? So this is simple fundamental of doubling, which we have seen in terms of octaves. We have already seen the definition of octaves. So from 32 it goes to 64, from 64 it goes to 128. Where did this law come from? Where is this interpretation coming? So it is like the eighth full tone above a given tone having twice as many vibrations per second, or below a given tone having half as many vibrations per second. Also, the interval of 8 diatonic degrees between a tone and either of its octaves. So this comes from the definition which is there of octave. Right? As simple as that, so that it becomes easier for us to understand. First is the music part. Second, he talks about the octaves which have been given over here. Right now, if you go further from here, we'll understand about few more things, and so on throughout. And also the ratio of increase in intermediate gradations. So he talks about 2 things. One is the ratio which is there, and also increase in the intermediate gradation. So this octaves comes into picture. The scale thus being placed is juxtaposition, and the series of indicative numbers in each, it is seen that the progressions and propositions are substantially the same in both, as well as the numerical steps of the series. Now, both is in terms of, we are talking about one is the colors, which has 7 colors: red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, violet, right? So, if you see, yes, the colors have been there, right? That is the first part. And we talk about the music, right? So, music has do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. On the basis of these factors, Professor Barrett and scientists generally have concluded that the law is the same in both scales, and this is farther and still more absolutely proved by facts which these scientists seem to have overlooked, namely that in both scales, the first, fourth, and the fifth are harmonics. Now, for what is the first, third, and the fifth, right? So let's read this and then go to some references which are there. That is in the color scale, the red, yellow, and blue are harmonic colors. Now what we understand is red, yellow, and blue, which is 1, 3, and 5. These are harmonic. What is this? Is red is first of all the natural color which is there. If we mix red and yellow, we get orange. If we mix yellow and blue, we get green. Right. So red, yellow, and blue, which we see are the basic colors which is there. Right. These are the natural colors, and after mixing these two or probably these three colors, we get different colors. Even if we mix red and blue, we get indigo, right? So that is how these colors comes into picture. This is in the color scale. The red, yellow, and blue are harmonic colors, and in the music scale, C, E, G are harmonic notes. However, in the color scale, the first and fourth, the second and the fifth, and the third and the sixth are complementary colors. Right now, so called, and this mark appears to apply equally to the first and fourth. Right, first and fourth, the second and fifth, and third and sixth notes of the music scales. Right now, he has talked about two things. One is about the color, and he has talked about first and fourth, second and fifth, and third and sixth. I guess we are just probably concurrence with this. We have seen something which is in terms of quart. Quart and quit are two terminologies that we have previously seen. And if we go to this book now, I'll give the reference also of this book, which is Understanding Nature, The Quest for Free Energy. Right. So this is the book. We can probably go through that. We have already shared this on our Telegram channel. So on Telegram channel, you can go and try to understand or maybe get this book much more easier. You'll find the link to the Telegram channel in the description below. So this is the part. If we see numbering 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, right? So if we see the first is connected to the fourth, the second is connected to the fifth, and the third is connected to the sixth, right? So quint and quart, which is there, and the interpretations which are there with the first and fourth, which is quad. Yes, this comes into the harmonic part over here. So as easy for us to understand that if we go and understanding the interpretations, things become easier. And one by one, we will be able to explore things also in detail. Right now, the anagram where we are able to unfold the circle, then the triangle, and then the law of seven, which is Heptaparaparshinokh, and how these numbers keeps on repeating, and how we'll be able to use them in terms of trading, because that's how the cycles have been developed. You start with there, we go from 1 to 4, then to 2, from 2 we go to 8, and from 8 we come back to 5, then 7, and then 1. We'll see how you need to use in terms of trading. Probably I just given a glimpse about this in the previous video, so probably you can just go back to the previous video and try to understand things from there. Right, so this is how things have been coming. Right, now if we try to understand about one more thing, which is a book which is there by Tony Plummer, The Law of Vibration. This is the revelations of William W. Gann. Right, we will also try to understand about this book, and there are various things which have been given in this book. So, for example, if he sees that the presence of a common signature pattern in the different presentations made by Mr. Gann, Mr. Gurdjieff, and Saint Matthew. Right. So again, he tries to gives us the references of Mr. Gann and Gurdjieff, because they have been working on the same thing. It's truly remarkable given the vast differences in the number of pages and words that are involved. 1238 pages of Beelzebub's Tales, 418 pages of Tunnel, and only 68 words in St. Matthew's Gospel. Right. So forget about St. Matthew's, but if we see only about Gurdjieff and Mr. Gann, which is Tunnel Through There, yes, we are able to have a lot of things. And Mr. Gurdjieff called the law of three and the law of seven, which probably we can go to the chapters and try to understand this. And with what Mr. Gann called the law of vibration derived from St. Matthew's text. Right. So this is how the interpretations are coming into picture. So we got into an understanding about WD Gann. We try to interpret his works and try to understand more, and from here we came to know about natural laws. So natural laws, when we talk about natural laws, we have to talk about law of seven and law of three. And when you're talking about law of seven and law of three, we had to come back to George Gurdjieff. So that's how the interpretation comes, because the more we try to understand about these basic things, the easier it is for us. And end of the day, these are all been interconnected. So if you want to get more of into the details, yes, definitely we get that. See, again, if we talk about this book, which is there by George Gurdjieff, In Search of Being, the Fourth Path of Consciousness, right? So this book is also readily available on the references being given. And if you want to read, yes, definitely you'll be able to read this book. See, if you see in probably the index, worlds within worlds. So WD Gann talks wheels within wheels, right? So indirectly an interpretation about this part can be given. It says the law of three forces, law of octaves, right? So indirectly this is nothing but we are talking about law of three, law of seven, how those laws have come into picture, right? So very simple for us to understand, interpret. Probably you can go through the book and try to understand more about that. But yes, the references are very clear. So yes, if you want to study something which is been given in the forward itself, that we have to study something about threefold purpose. So see, he's talking about threefold purpose. So indirectly we get a hint of the law of three over here, and he talks about law of seven, which is been mentioned 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7 times in the book. So natural laws given 7 times, so that is law of seven. And the second thing which has been given over here is this book has a threefold purpose. So it talks about the law of three, indirectly law of three, as well as law of seven. So when we talk about law of three and law of seven, we have to study about Gurdjieff, which is talking about octaves in details as especially, and also law of three, which is there. So that's why we have come down to this interpretation. More of details would be coming one by one as we start interpreting these things. This system should be much more easier for you. So till now, if you are not subscribed to our YouTube channel, please do subscribe to our YouTube channel so that you'll be able to understand or see more videos. Please do like the videos, and second thing, third thing is most important, please do comment on the videos, because this is very important. We get your feedback, and also in the YouTube algorithm which is there, we are able to go on a better level. Okay, see you. Thank you so much. Bye. Take care, and let's meet in the next video.